cost you pay is your soul. Trust me, people might go, yeah, you've earned so much money. Yeah, you got a Porsche. Yeah, you had a swimming pool. Yeah, but it still took me soul.
How did it take your soul?
Because even though I mean, we've never met before, but even now that you're from the same town as me, and by talking to me that even though I've done what I've done and been some of the most beautifulest women in the world, I'm still just a normal guy from Edgeley who goes and watches county when he can. It's and I tell you what, I remember having a conversation with Noel about this, Noel Gallagher. He's exactly the same. Now he's in a different stratosphere to me. But when you take him off the camera, because all that's just for camera, when you take him off the camera and you sit in a green room talking about City and football and Burnage and Stockport, it's just like me and you. Seriously. But because people don't know that, they build him as this. And so you have to play a certain role, and that's what you mean by soul, because it's like, okay, so for 25 years, I've not got up and been a milkman or been a train driver or been a truck driver. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I haven't done that. So my thought process on what is normal is different to someone who does that. And that's what I mean by soul. It's just, you can come across as, okay, so if you watch anything, by the way, anybody watches the first documentary that I did, okay, I need to tell you right now, I'm acting. That is not me. Okay, I'm acting. I was directed by the BBC at the time. I was told, you're going to be on Big Brother. You're going to be fucking massive. Just do this, 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 and this. Now, obviously, I was in my 30s then, so I thought that the time had passed me by. So naturally, I'm going to do what the director says and be a prick. I look back at that documentary now and I think, fuck me. Because people see that and think, Jesus, is he really that delusional? No, I was acting like David Brent. That I was told to be like David Brent, but be the real David Brent, and you will make £1 million. I put it to you, anyone, including yourself. If someone said that to you, would you go along with it?
So you're referring there to Daz Sampson, Man of the People, wasn't it? I think it was called a documentary that was filmed for BBC Three in the run up to the Eurovision entry.
It's horrendous. But at the end of the day, right? I did do it. I can't say, I didn't do that. Well, I did do it, but but people don't understand. In fact, I was on another podcast who was slating me about it. So I rang them up and said, you know what? Why don't you? I'm not going to start, threatening, but why don't you ask me properly how it works? No one seems to mention, for example, last year when I went for Belarus, my teenage daughter was threatened. I've had death threats for going into Eurovision. Can you believe that? Can you believe that shit? So when I say it takes your soul, people don't understand. It's not, driving around in a flash car is not the be all and end all. Trust me on that, because you pay a very, very high price for it.